It's not every day that we get to dive into a new Middle-earth book with new writings from J.R.R. Tolkien, but that's exactly what we get in the new Nature of Middle-earth, edited by Carl Hostetter. Now, it's important to explain what this book is for those unfamiliar with the later scholarly work of J.R.R.'s son, Christopher Tolkien. The Nature of Middle-earth is very similar to the 12-volume History of Middle-earth set, which was edited by Christopher as a way to reveal his father's scattered notes and writings, combined with his own commentary to guide us as we learn more not only about the world and characters of Middle-earth, but also the writing process of its creator. In a book 25 years in the making, Hostetter takes us on a similar journey through Tolkien's later writings on the lands, inhabitants, and metaphysics of Middle-earth. As this suggests, there's a great range of both complex and more straightforward topics found in the Nature of Middle-earth. And honestly, that's kind of the beauty of this book, as well as the History of Middle-earth set. You don't need to read it cover to cover, but you can feel free to glance around at things that you find interesting in the table of contents. In my interview with Carl, which will come up on the channel later this week, he suggests the reader begin with the foreword and editorial practices, followed by the introduction to each of the book's 3 sections, and I wholeheartedly agree. This will give you a good sense of what's to come in each of the sections. Now, the word nature in the title takes advantage of kind of the ambiguity of that phrase. On one hand, the book covers topics like the flora and fauna of Middle-earth, while it also dives into the very essence of Tolkien's world. Journeying in this book, you can find topics like fate and free will, how the elves age and when in their life cycles they marry and have children, rates of the elves' growth since their awakening, which is mapped out in some very impressive tables, and the idea that 1 Valian year didn't equal 9.5 of our own as we've always thought, but instead 144 years, vastly changing the ages of some very important Tolkien characters. Now, if this information seems a little academic for your taste, there's still plenty to be found in the book that ties into characters and events that you're familiar with that'll be a little bit lighter reading. We have some new information on the island realm of Numenor, the making of lembas bread, and even who couldn't grow beards. To give you a teaser, we find out that due to their elven ancestry running strong in their respective lines, Aragorn, Denethor, Boromir, and Faramir never had facial hair. This was not a grooming decision, they just simply didn't have facial hair, like the overwhelming majority of elves. Now, this might take a while for some fans to get used to after seeing Viggo's rather impressive beard at the end of the film adaptation. Other bits of knowledge are downright comedic, like the Great Bear Dance of Numenor, where as many as 50 bears would have an annual performance for their human friends. But mind you, this was no joke, because open laughter at this event was prohibited, because the sound of human laughter the bears didn't understand, and so it would alarm and anger them. Now, I won't be so bold as to pretend that I can distill this book into a top 5 or top 10 list of things we've learned from it, though dancing bears would certainly make such a list. I think even by attempting this myself at this point, I'd be kind of insulting Hostetter and Tolkien's work. There's simply too many great little nuggets of information in this book, and I discover more every time I pick it up. I'll certainly be integrating more of this book into future videos, just as I did with last week's video on the houses of the dwarves. But that will be no substitute for reading this for yourself. It should come as no surprise to anyone who has watched my channel that I'm a big fan of this book and the information within. It seems clear to me that this was edited by someone with a deep appreciation for Middle-earth and an even greater respect for J.R.R. and Christopher Tolkien. Hostetter even found a way to give Christopher Tolkien the last word in this book, what is likely to be the final word in an official Tolkien publication, which I think is the most fitting way to wrap up not only this work, but an unparalleled achievement in the history of literature. The Nature of Middle-earth is a worthy addition to any Tolkien bookshelf, especially one that contains volumes from the History of Middle-earth series. If you already own History of Middle-earth, this one is a no-brainer, and honestly, you've probably already ordered it at this point. If you haven't found your way into Christopher Tolkien's more academic writings, I think this would be a great place to start, as you're sure to find a lot of fellow Tolkien fans discussing its contents in the months to come. I've never done number or star rankings for things here on the channel, so I'll just keep it at this. If you're a fan of Middle-earth, a fan of Tolkien's writings, or a fan of getting a peek behind the curtain on the creative writing process, this is a great book to pick up. As we'll see in my upcoming interview with editor Carl Hostetter, this is likely the last of Tolkien's Middle-earth writings that we'll have to uncover. As I said at the beginning, it's not every day that we get a chance to see new Middle-earth writings from J.R.R. Tolkien. Knowing it is likely the last, I think we should just enjoy it and celebrate it as fans. If you'd like to see more Middle-earth product reviews here on the channel, let me know what you'd like to see in the comments. And be sure to check out my interview with the Nature of Middle-earth editor Carl Hostetter to hear about his 25-year road to publication, what it was like working with Christopher Tolkien, and much more. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.